Hello, welcome back to the We Are City channel for an episode of our Manchester City FC24 Reboot Career Mode with Manchester City and Pep Guardiola in charge for perhaps his final season in the club. In the last episode we found out that transfer bombshell that Ederson will be at the end of the preseason tour joining Al Ittihad. It looks like they will agree a £45 million deal for the Brazilian and agree terms with him already done in terms of agreeing terms with the club. Manchester City meeting our asking price, basically. They're going to do that. So we are looking at a goalkeeper, and the goalkeeper situation is something we need to look at. We need to make a decision on what we do goalkeeping wise. We've got a big list of goalkeepers that we've already been through, but it's now to start to do the real hard work of narrowing down that list to a group of players that we think are the ones top 3, top 4, maybe top 5. I think 5 out of the 10 goalkeepers in our list of who we're going to bring in to replace Ederson, and we're going to promote Stefan Ortega. That is the decision Manchester City have made internally. Ortega to be promoted, so we need to make a decision on who comes in as a backup, someone to battle with him or so on, a younger player, an experienced player. We're going to go through that right now. Starting off with Diogo Costa, who's going to stay on my list of options. I think Diogo Costa at what he's going to cost maybe 60, 70 million as a goalkeeper, 85 rated, the 23-year-old. He looks like a goalkeeper for the future and one that could be the future of Manchester City. Stefan Ortega's not getting any younger. Stefan Ortega is in his 30s, and that sort of swings me towards Diogo Costa coming in as maybe a backup to Ortega, but then those two battling and eventually Costa overtaking him. However, Costa coming in at 60, 70 million would have to come in as first choice. Costa's going to stay on my list. Costa is going to be certainly on that list, a young goalkeeper, one for the future, but not certainly a one for right now, perhaps one for the future depending on what happens with a second choice keeper or with Ortega, but he's going to be in our top 5 in the list, just a little bit too expensive in my eyes. Up next is Bart Verbruggen, a starting goalkeeper for the Netherlands. He's going to cost around 40 million maybe, the 20-year-old goalkeeper from Brighton. Now, he is a brilliant goalkeeper, only 20 years of age. I think he would accept a more of a back, sort of back role really towards Ortega. Let Ortega start as number 1, Verbruggen to develop as number 2, and then eventually take over from Stefan Ortega. But being 20 years of age, Bart Verbruggen is sort of the goalkeeper that needs to be playing games week in and week out for Brighton, but certainly one due to his distribution, and I think he's very close to Ederson in play style. I think he's the closest thing we can get to in Ederson in terms of new goalkeeper. We're going to keep looking at his development, and he is also going to stay on our top 5 list. Other goalkeepers, we've got Gregor Kobel here. Kobel is going to cost maybe over 90 million. 25 years of age, decent on the ball, a very good goalkeeper. He would come in as a permanent number 1. Young goalkeeper for the future as well. He's got, what, 10 years at the top of his game. But due to the fact of the asking price, due to how much it's going to cost, we're going to take Gregor Kobel off our list. He's not going to make the final 5 due to that. We've got Unai Simon, Athletic Club Bilbao. He's got an £88 million release clause. Again, similar to Kobel, they'll have to come in and be first choice straight away. You could say the same with Diogo Costa coming from Portugal. However, he might be not exactly so certain about his starting place. But I think Unai Simon, the same as Kobel, is not on our list in our final 5. An interesting goalkeeper in Philip Jorgensen here, the Danish goalkeeper playing for Villarreal, 76 rated, only 21 years of age. I think he needs to be playing football to continue developing. Of course, he's heavily linked with Chelsea as well. We don't want to get into any transfer battles, and Philip Jorgensen is going to be coming off our goalkeeper list. Up next is a player that looks like a pretty decent option as a backup goalkeeper, a short-term option really, in Michael Zerera. He could come in for under £10 million, I do believe, and be the backup to Stefan Ortega. I think he's very similar stylistically and play style to Ortega, and it would be like having 2 Ortegas in the squad. Is that what we want, or do we want someone who is a bit more different to him? Ederson and Ortega aren't the same sort of goalkeepers. Maybe we need a bit more variety. Maybe a Verbruggen is the more of the option because of that, because Verbruggen is very similar, I believe, to Ederson. But Michael Zerera is certainly on the list if we're going to go out for an all-and-out backup goalkeeper, not thinking long-term, and then discuss the situation later when we look at other goalkeepers' development. He's going to be on the list at number 3. Number 4 is Milan Silva. He is not going to make the list. At 23 years of age, a very cheap goalkeeper, but I think one that needs to continue his development at Roma. He's been starting for Roma recently, and I just don't think he is ready to be a Manchester City goalkeeper. And I'm not intended on keeping him as a Manchester City goalkeeper. I don't think he's going to make it to this club. I don't think he's the right goalkeeper for this club, and that's why Milan Silva is not going to make the list either. Making the list, and certainly making the list in number 4, is a 20-year-old goalkeeper at Christos Mandas. Very cheap signing, certainly a goalkeeper that could have potential to be a future number one at Manchester City. Only 21 years of age, a Greek international, very lowly rated, particularly to come in and back up Stefan Ortega, but he certainly has that potential to be a future goalkeeper. And being such a cheap price, if things don't work out for Mandas, we could always loan him out and bring a number one or bring in a number two to Ortega next season as well. I think bringing in Mandas gives City a lot of flexibility in terms of the goalkeeper role, and that is why he is going to our top 5 list. And speaking of young goalkeepers, finishing up our top 5 list is Mikhail of Atletico Paranaense. He's taking over from Bento's role as the goalkeeper there, number 1 now, only 19 years of age. He's the number 1 goalkeeper for Brazil's under-21s. He'll come in at a very reasonable price of around 6 million, and he's certainly a young goalkeeper to keep an eye on. Is he one just for the future though, and is he one really to come in and be the goalkeeper right now? To back up Ortega, maybe at 19 years of age is not the right time, because he would have to be trusted in FA Cup games. That is the plan, and cup fixtures. And with Edison going, I think we do need a higher quality player. But that is the 5 on our list. So 5 on our list, 5 goalkeepers that we're targeting. Mikhail of Atletico Paranaense, he is number 5, bottom of the list. Number 4 is Christoph Mandas. He is number... Mikhail is number 5 on the list. Christoph Mandas is number 4 on the list. He is 4th option to be our goalkeeper, depending on what we're looking for. All these goalkeepers offer different situations. Michael Zerera is number 3 on the list. He would come in and be an all-and-out backup goalkeeper to Stefan Ortega, be a number 2, a new Ortega. We've got number 2 on the list, Bart Verbruggen, who I think stylistically is the closest goalkeeper to Edison. He is number 2 on our list, a young goalkeeper certainly for the future of the club. Could come in as a number 2 and try and displace Ortega. And then finally one who would come in and pretty much have to be number 1 or battle very highly Ortega, but be very expensive, and due to that price would have to be number 1, is a very, very favourite goalkeeper really from, I mean, fans of Manchester City. If you want Edison replacing, a lot of people look to this man who's performed so well for Portugal and is going to be a top goalkeeper in the future. It is Diogo Costa. That is the way the goalkeeper situation is looking. And once Edison completes that move and the ball starts running a little bit more, before Edison slightly makes that move, we will start seeing what's the best thing. Cheeky Begiristain will be making contacts with each one of these players, with each one of these clubs, to explore the cost, the pricing of each one of these deals, whether the players would be interested in moving to the club, what conditions the agents will offer, and whether Manchester City go and sign one of these goalkeepers. Well, breaking news here coming from Sky Sports in terms of transfers around Joshua Kimmich of Bayern Munich. Apparently he will leave, or they want him to leave, Bayern Munich this summer. Now, we are uncertain. We're going to have a look at midfielders and discuss midfielders in this episode in depth, because we're unsure really of which way to go. We've got a few players that are high on the list and some that are not so much. Of course, we've been through our transfer targets in a previous episode. Now, Kimmich being at age 28, 29 years of age, he would fulfill that right back role that we're looking for, but it is the transfer fee that I'm worried about. We have to bring him in according to our transfer rules, a player of his age, for less than 35 million, and I'm not exactly sure that Bayern will be looking for that. Maybe we wait one more year and let Kimmich come in a free. In that case, maybe in one more year, we wouldn't need Joshua Kimmich. He's on my list, and he's certainly one to look at. We do need to really go in depth in the midfielder situation and see what is best to do around the midfielders. With incomings, there's also possible outgoings here. João Cancelo, a bit of a negotiations going on with Barcelona. They've come in with a loan to buy, an offer of 21 million for João Cancelo to leave on loan and then move permanently for them. That seems like it's going to be the best possible deal Manchester City can pull out, unfortunately, considering the situations with João Cancelo, around Cancelo. His attitude, a big problem, perhaps other clubs who are not willing to make a move for him. And to get 21 million added to City's transfer budget for a player who's costing us a lot in wages and isn't playing any football, and he's not going to play under Pep Guardiola, I think alone with an option to buy at 21 million in the end sounds pretty good for Manchester City. We spoke earlier in the episode about the goalkeeper situation. It's becoming quite an important role to play in this series and this season for Manchester City, but so is the holding midfield position, a position where we need someone who can complement playing alongside Rodri, but also can play as a backup to Rodri when necessary. Number 1 on our list of 5 midfielders as we narrow things down, I think, is going to be Bruno G anyway. Whether we even go through all these midfielders, he is certainly on the list of midfielders. He's going to cost a big amount of money. We want to sign him for around 85 million. If we can get the deal over the line for 85, 90 million, I think Bruno G in this series will be a Manchester City player. An all-rounder of a midfielder. He's got absolutely everything. You can see there by his statistics, he's an all-rounder. High attacking work rate, high defensive work rate. Has absolutely everything we want in a Manchester City player. Long ball, flair, Trivela, press proven, incisive pass. I don't think we can do much better. than Bruno Guimaraes, and he's certainly one of those top of our list. On our list as well, we have Joshua Kimmich. Would solve a bit of an issue at right back as well, bringing in Kimmich, because he can play in that position. A very versatile player, a very good player, again, like Bruno Guimaraes, very, very good. Hasn't got as much development, I don't think, as Bruno Guimaraes, in him being a bit older. But a top quality player. The only stumbling block, I think, with Joshua Kimmich is the asking price. On our list as well is Pepelu of Valencia. I think we're going to remove him from our list. I think that it's just a move for him. He's not quite what Pep Guardiola's Manchester City side is looking for. Yes, an all-rounder as well. Yes, got a lot of style to his game, but I just don't think he's the one for this Pep Guardiola side. We've got Adam Wharton on the list as well, who could come in and be the man. He would cost maybe 40, 50, if not 60 million. I know that is what their asking price is, but that could go up for Adam Wharton once Manchester City come out and say we want him. I think Adam Wharton is a player we need to keep an eye on his development, because he's only just 6 months ago moved from Blackburn Rovers to the Premier League. Yes, he's had a fantastic 6 months. Yes, he's got in the England squad, but I'm not entirely sure on him yet, and I think we need to continue monitoring this man's development to see where he goes. We've got Ruben Neves of Al Hilal, a player that was heavily linked with Manchester City many years ago when they were looking for a Fernandinho replacement. He's going to cost around 60 million, which puts me off with his price tag. Perhaps a loan from Al Hilal can get City in a sort of decision where we can make a permanent decision later on, but have a body in there who can play that holding midfield role. Certainly a very good passer, certainly a holding midfielder that would suit the Pep Guardiola side, but I'm not exactly sure how high he is on our list in that position. We've got Porto's Alan Varela, who seems like he is, outside of the expensive options, the least expensive option, and probably the best option in terms of what we're looking for as just a pure backup midfield to Rodri. He could play alongside Rodri, but I think Alan Varela would do the Calvin Phillips role of just coming in and being an out-and-out backup to Rodri. Now, we signed that player before in Calvin Phillips. It didn't work out because the game time just never allowed them to get sharpness, and that is why I've been looking for a midfielder to play alongside Rodri. And perhaps maybe that is what pushes Alan Varela lower down our list, but he will stay on our list. And the same goes for Ismail Benacer. The Algerian 84 rate is going to cost a lot of money for the player he is. Was once heavily linked to Manchester City, seemed for whatever reason to give up on Benacer, but you can see statistically he's got absolutely everything. He's a real all-rounder, a really high quality, technically gifted player, and a midfielder who can play holding midfield alongside Rodri, attacking midfield. He's one that we signed in the career mode many years ago when he was heavily linked with City. I do like him as a player, but I'd say he is probably near the bottom of our list. So we'll go through the top 5 of our list, starting with number 5 of 5 midfielders. Ruben Neves is number 5 on the list of targets for holding midfield. He is lowest of the low in terms of that, but he is bottom, but he's an option. Ismail Benacer will come in at number 4 on our list as a possible midfield signing. Number 3 on the list will be Alan Varela, and if we can't get our top 2 targets, we will go down to the 22-year-old Argentinian to come in and be a Manchester City player. And then number 2 is Joshua Kimmich. Stumbling block the asking price, but if he can get that down, he would solve 2 problems in City's side in terms of right back and midfield. So that really does push in his favour. But the real marquee signing, the one who would be the superstar, the fantastic player for this club, will be Bruno Guimaraes. To bring this man in would be a spectacular sign for Manchester City Football Club. And forget about the goalkeeper situation at the moment with Ederson. He is our number 1 target for this transfer window. And I'm hoping Shiki Begiristain, our sporting director, our footballing director, he can do all he can to agree terms with Newcastle United to bring Bruno Guimaraes. Yes, we've missed out on that £100 million release clause. That was too much for Manchester City. But Newcastle still, with PSR around, going to next season, will have to bring in money. And an £85, £90 million sale of Bruno Guimaraes just might really, really interest Newcastle and allow them to lose a star player when they've already got the likes of Sandro Tonali and so on in their midfield. Well, we've chosen our number 1 target in terms of midfield in Bruno Guimaraes, and there has been a bit of contact and player chat between Newcastle United's Bruno Guimaraes and Pep Guardiola at Manchester City. Of course, City's sporting director Cheeky will be working on this deal and has been, you know, making moves alongside agents, and it's now time for Bruno to talk with Pep around a possible move to Manchester City this summer. Pep, it's an honour to talk with you. This is Bruno Guimaraes. What role do you see for me at City? Well, Pep Guardiola replies with the role he sees Bruno in. I've been watching you close at Newcastle, and I think you'd be a perfect fit for our midfield. Playing alongside Rodri, your vision and ball control are exceptional, and you could help us dominate possession even more. Now, Bruno says that sounds really exciting. He's always admired the way City plays. He's said that in interviews before. How do you think he can adapt, though, to this style of play? And Pep says, your adaptability is one of your great strengths, Bruno. We'll work on your positioning and pressing to fit seamlessly into our system. Your creativity will give us the edge in tight games. Pep Guardiola sounds very excited about this possible signing. And Bruno says he's eager to learn, improve, and join the club. He's eager to join Manchester City this summer. Of course, he won't force a move because he does have a lot of love for Newcastle and the Newcastle fans. But what do you think will the biggest challenge for him at Manchester City? And Pep Guardiola replies with, the biggest challenge will be maintaining consistency and a demanding schedule. City plays so many games. But with your work ethic and talent, I'm confident you'll thrive. We have a great team and a supportive environment to help you settle in quickly, which is a big point. He's going to be settling alongside Rodri, hopefully very quickly. He knows the Premier League. And I hope that we will see the two clubs agree a transfer fee, says Pep Guardiola, over the coming weeks. I have you in my team before the Premier League season starts. Exciting that this move, we're getting the ball rolling, this move just might happen. Leading around third place for our midfield targets, we've got Kimmich, we've got Guimarães, we've been through all those. Scouting players and scouting reports come back on Alvarez of Porto, played 38 games for Porto in all competitions last season, got 2 goals and 3 assists. Alvarez is a dynamic midfielder at FC Porto, and he excels in ball control, precise passing, and tactical awareness. 3 key points that we're looking for in terms of signing a whole midfielder. His defensive skills and ability to dictate play make him a key asset in midfield transitions. He is one that's high on the scouts list, in the scouts saying, I know he's a bit out there, he's not sort of the big names like Guimarães or Kimmich that we already know we don't need to scout, but Alvarez is sort of a dark horse in terms of being the midfielder to bring in. And Manchester City are keeping a really close eye on him, not only for now this summer, looking for old midfielder now to maybe back up Rodri or play alongside Rodri. Barella's more of a backup, and that hasn't worked in Calvin Phillips, but he's certainly one in City's list for the future, and we will keep a keen eye, I think, on his development at Porto, and perhaps he is one that comes to Manchester City in a few years' time, maybe in another season to back up Rodri. Maybe Guimarães builds himself alongside Rodri, and then we bring in another whole midfielder. But keep an eye on Alvarez's development. He's heroes Busquets. He does suit what we're looking for at Manchester City, and the scouts seem to put rave reports about him. Well, next in pre-season for this Manchester City side is AC Milan. Captain and goalkeeper Edison starts in goal. We've got Rico Lewis, Coutinho, Doyle, and Vardiol's back in there today in that back four. It's going to be Jacob Wright making an appearance with James McAtee and Maximo Pirone in that midfield three. Erling Haaland up top again with Oscar Bob on the right and Jack Grealish on the left. On the bench we've got Jaden Heskey, Joel Ndala, Nico O'Reilly, Kovacic Ortega, Lakail Samuel and Josh Russell-Nesbrand. No appearances yet for a few of these players, but they will get the chance in pre-season, I'm sure. Well, we know the starting 11. It's time for pre-season match number 2. Can we get back to winning ways? Of course, just building up the sharps and so on for the pre-season tournament, for the real season when it does start. It's Manchester City versus AC Milan. So Manchester City versus AC Milan. This is a big one. A big one for City. These players a bit more of a better side out there today. Man at the far post. Rico Lewis stops the initial ball. Loftus-Cheek, past Coutinho. And an early save by Edison here. Here's McAtee. Nice spin by McAtee. He's run that injury off McAtee. He's passed a few challenges and it's short to Haaland here. Haaland with a turn. And Erling Haaland with a turn here. On 1-0 Manchester City. And the man who was very quiet in the previous fixture against Celtic is open and alive after the first 11 minutes. Good play from James McAtee. And he finds Haaland. He finds the back of the net. Vardiol just holding off the fullback. Good play by Haaland on the turn. Right-footed finish across the goalkeeper. Sportiello. A very good finish by Erling Haaland. He finds McAtee. Oh, to Doyle. Then looking for that ball into Grealish, but he finds Maximo Pirone instead, does he? And a nice turn by Pirone. And a ball through to Haaland by Maximo Pirone. And Erling Haaland here, just a heavy touch. Jacob Wright late one on Okafor. Went to win it, missed it. Here's Chueze. Vardiol steps out. Burst through our defence here. Too easy, and Milan equalise. I don't know how they burst through the defence so easily there, but they do. And I think that is something to worry about with these younger players. I mean, Coutinho there, he's so... His body shape's all wrong. He can't react to that run. Right to Rico. In behind to Grealish. Good touches by Jack. Pulls it back to Haaland here. Milan just get it away. We'll do a substitution at half-time. Jack Grealish and... Who else came off there? Jack Grealish and James McAtee are off. On comes Nico O'Reilly and Joel Ndala. A chance to impress Pep Guardiola. Midfielder. Powerful midfielder. Ndala went a little bit early. Not this time. O'Reilly into Ndala. Ndala, oh, absolutely sauce. He's up there. Emerson, he's past him anyway. Ndala's still going. Joel Ndala! What a goal from Joel Ndala. Pre-season, off the bench, and absolutely electric down that left-hand side there, Joel Ndala. Absolutely brilliant from Ndala here. Doesn't show him get fouled. He gets back up. He's on his feet. And he fires it in the bottom corner. What a finish by Ndala. Off the bench at half-time. And he makes an immediate impact in Pep Guardiola's side. He celebrates that one. A youngster who might have his breakthrough season this year. What a goal by Joel Ndala. Manchester City back in front. Here's Benasern. A big switch of play towards Chukwueze, the danger man. Guardiola. Doyle misses the challenge. Luka Jovic the chance here. Edison makes the save. Back on his feet, Edison. Oh, Edison makes a big mistake there. 2-2. Goalkeeper sold himself there, diving in. Couldn't win it. And Luka Jovic puts in an empty net. Well, back into Chukwueze. Good play from Milan. Doyle a tackle in there. And it's a penalty. Callum Doyle. Bang the leg out. And Chukwueze went over it. Penalty Milan. Okafor against Edison. Okafor! Big save from Captain Edison. Again, running through us. Okafor. Jovic! What a finish. 3-2. Edison comes. Jovic chips him. And Milan do take the lead. Great ball by Chukwueze here. The defence have got to read that run. And these young men, Doyle and Katongo, have got a lot to work on. A lot to work on. That's too easy. Kovacic can't make the challenge. And City are in trouble again here. And Luka Jovic tries to dink Edison, who just stands there and watches that one. I mean, that is embarrassing from Edison there. And Ndala. Chance for City again, Ndala. Running. And Ndala again. Shot blocked. So Nico O'Reilly in there. But he wants some support. Brilliant from Oscar Bob here. What a ball. Maximo Piron puts it wide. Full time, Manchester City 2, AC Milan 4. Milan side come out on top. City again, struggling in pre-season. Well, Jacob Wright is a player that continues to impress. He's not quite perfect just yet, of course, being such a young player, but he has been impressing our scouts and so on in training, our coaches. He's got 81 potential, the new Jorginho as we've been describing. A young midfielder with excellent passing and movement, controls tempo, orchestrates build-ups and dictates the game's rhythm effectively. He is very much a Jorginho. We've seen little spells of him so far in pre-season, may continue to see that. But he's one certainly for the future and certainly for the squad this season. I do think he's going to be in and around the first team squad. We are going to try and get him some game time in cup games and so on, because I've got high hopes for him at this Manchester City side and high hopes in a Pep Guardiola team. Well, Sky Sports transfer news again for today's episode, and this one is focusing on De Ligt and Philogenia of Villa and also possibly of Manchester United, but we're focusing the man linked with Manchester City in Bruno G. We know that Pep Guardiola, we know inside anyway, Pep Guardiola has spoke with the player personally, but there is a big interest from all around the world. Contact with the player has been made, initiated. We know that. They know that as well. The papers, the journalists, they've all picked up on that. Contact has been made with the player by Manchester City. Arsenal are interested in the player as well. It could be the two top teams in the Premier League battling for the signature of Newcastle Brazilian. And also Paris Saint-Germain are supposedly and reportedly preparing an offer for Bruno Guimaraes. They're looking to bring in another midfielder alongside João Neves. Will it be Bruno Guimaraes? Will it be Joshua Kimmich? They are linked with both those players as well. So are Arsenal and so are Manchester City. All three sides, three big sides in Europe going for the two same players for the same position. Bruno Guimaraes' £100 million release clause has expired. And we know, personally in the club, that City have made contact with the player. We've agreed pretty much terms with the player. And it's all down now to our sporting director, Cheeky, to agree a deal with Newcastle United. Can we get this deal over the line? Can we make an absolutely massive signing for this Manchester City midfield? A real marquee signing? Or do we end up making a sort of lower value signing, someone like Alan Varela, not so much excitement about them, but someone who's a really high potential player in terms of that role? Holding midfield is massive, is very important, and we'll keep making moves in that area. Bruno Guimaraes might just be the one, and the journalists and so on really know about City's heavy interest now. Well, the transfer bombshell dropped in the previous episode that Ederson, after the pre-season tour, intends to move to Saudi Arabia. He's been offered over $700,000 per week, which he can't turn down, and City are going to lose Ederson. We are looking at a new backup goalkeeper and promoting Stefan Ortega to number one. That is what Pep Guardiola has decided to do. That's what the board has decided to do, and I think Ortega is impressed when he's been given the chance, and he deserves that right. A scouting of a player that's a little bit unknown is Michael Zetera, the German goalkeeper of Werder Bremen. 27 appearances so far, or last season anyway, for Werder Bremen. No goals and no assists, as you expect from goalkeeper. Zetera is a reliable goalkeeper. That is a key thing for being a second choice goalkeeper. He's known for his excellent shot stopping abilities and quick reflexes. That sounds exciting. His command of the penalty area is strong, and he's got strong distribution skills that make him a viable asset. Distribution is a big part of the game. We don't want someone who panics under pressure, and also they've got to be a reasonably good shot stopper. I think Zetera just could be the next Stefan Ortega if he was the player to sign. We've got quite a lot of young players on our list of signs, and some experienced players, and some amazing players as well. City have really got to decide. We've got to get this right in terms of goalkeeper. I'm not exactly sure quite yet what the decision is to do. Do we bring in a number one who's very young, who can push Ortega and let them push each other like we saw with Ederson? Do we bring in just an out-and-out backup for Ortega, or do we bring in a number one? I think we've decided that we're going to bring in someone to either be level and battle with Ortega, stars a number two to him, but I'm not exactly sure whether they should be an experienced goalkeeper that pushes him, or they should be a young goalkeeper with the idea of being first team keeper in the future. That is something we're going to think about, and Michael Zetera's name is high on our list thanks to our scouts. Breaking news coming from Sky Sports, again in the transfer department, around a Manchester City player in striker Julian Alvarez. Apparently he wants to move to Atletico Madrid this summer. That would be a crushing move for Manchester City in terms of striker situation. It would mean we would have to look for a forward in the market, which we have discussed the possibility of doing so. Alvarez wants the move this summer apparently. It is just whether Atleti can meet our asking price of 85 million or so. That is what it will take to get the World Cup winner. Now, we haven't spoke to Alvarez personally. I'm hoping to do so in the next episode, perhaps when he returns to Manchester after playing in the Copa America. He's not going to have a pre-season tour, but we need to know where Julian Alvarez's head is at, and if this news is true. This might be all agent fed. Maybe Jorge Mendes is pushing this news out. I don't know if he is Alvarez's agent, but I'm pretty sure he's surrounded in that area. Maybe he's pushing this news out. Maybe his agent is pushing this news out for an improvement in a contract, but he's just signed a new contract not too long ago. So I do genuinely believe that there is something in this, and maybe it's to push Pep Guardiola to give him more game time. But with Erling Haaland, the best striker in the world, Alvarez is never going to start ahead of him. This is an issue that we need to resolve before the end of the transfer window, and early, because it would change our plans in the transfer market. And we're going to end the episode here with an offer from Borussia Dortmund for Milan Couto. We have tried to sell maybe Couto for around 40 million. That is the big high price tag, 40 million euros, 35 million. Borussia Dortmund have been negotiating with our sporting director, Cheeky Begiristain. Now they've made an official offer of 30 million for the Brazilian. An official offer of 30 million, which I do think we intend to accept. I think that move would be a good one for Milan Couto and his career development, his career. He's not played yet first team football for Manchester City. He's not in the club's plans. I just don't think he's quite the level we want from a right back because of his physicality, because of his play style on a Pep Guardiola side. City would make a big profit on the Brazilian, and a move away from the club seems likely with us accepting this £30 million move from Borussia Dortmund. That is going to end today's episode, with plenty of action coming every day, working day this week, 5 days a week the uploads. It doesn't stop there. More pre-season to come and a lot more transfer to come. Can we get the Bruno G deal over the line? Can we make enough money from player sales? Will there be an exciting signing if we see someone like Alvarez leave? Could we see De Bruyne go to Saudi? We don't know yet. There's so many unknowns, and it is just the start of the series. I am so excited to see where this goes. Please like the video if you haven't already. Please do subscribe to the channel if you are new. If you are enjoying the reboot, let us know all your comments, all your thoughts in the comment section down below. And we'll see you guys next time.